Here we are, Thursday, March 14th. 2 days less than 1 month to make this happen. Do your seeds look like this in less than 1 month? Click the link down below to grab the seed starting blueprint and the crazy limited time discount that we've got going if you want to take control of your garden and get jaw-dropping results. Today, I'm gonna show you one pro tip to make your transplants absolutely explode. So, the first tip is to plant your seeds in an easy clone. These things with these Propagator Pro plugs absolutely explode. And look at these tomato plants and these peppers. Peppers are pretty slow. And as you can see, for some reason over here, I've got a couple that just stayed a little small, probably because the roots on the other ones got so massive that it didn't allow the water to spray these plugs. So today, we're gonna give you a couple pro tips to allow your easy clone to continue to evenly moisten the plugs and give yourself bigger root masses. So stay to the end of the video to see some more awesome growing pro tips. So the first thing we're gonna do here, guys, is we're obviously just gonna check this out. And we're actually gonna go ahead and turn off the light here. The reason being, we don't wanna hit the plants on this bulb, which could potentially burn them a little bit. And they're looking pretty much perfect. Let's go ahead and bust one of these bad boys out and show you guys what we're working with. Look at that plant. And as you can see, I root pruned it a couple days ago. And that's right here where I just came and chopped off the roots. And as a response, a whole bunch more bilateral roots shoot out. This gives you more root tips, which ultimately gives you a bigger, better root mass. So this thing is ready for transplant. As you can see over here, I've got my double stack rack, and this is a 2-foot by 4-foot tray, and that thing is going to be a full-blown mini plant right off the bat. I'm pretty excited. So today we're gonna transplant some of these tomatoes and some of these peppers, and we're gonna get our double stack rack going and get these things into their vegetative container. We've got about 6 weeks left before I'm gonna be planting these outside. I'm pretty excited to see what we can do. But since I've showed you the example of the right way to do an easy clone, let's show you another example. And it's not necessary that any of these are the wrong way to do it, but there are ways that are just better. So we're gonna try and keep to the same strain. Oh wow. And this one, I intentionally left unroot pruned because I wanted to show you guys how big these root masses can get. Look at that. Now that is a root mass. If you want some serious starts, click the link down below and grab the Seed Start Blueprint, as well as an easy clone, as well as some Propagator Pro plugs and Leo Life LED. Pretty awesome. So you'll see something here. As the roots continue to get longer towards the end, there are less of these bilateral filaments. And that's actually part of the root system that A, uptakes nutrients more, but also B, that is the part that allows these plants to breathe. And since these plants sit in the aeroponic easy clone growing system, they're taking up so much air, which ultimately it's like a car. A turbo or a supercharger flows more air through the engine. Same thing here. The easy clone flows more air through the root zone system, allows that perfect moisture, and allows massive nutrient uptake, resulting in gigantic starts like this. But I wanted to show you guys something that might shock some of you. There is a problem with a plant like this. Its roots are just simply too big. And sometimes we just transplant them. As growers, we get really excited and we wind up the roots in there and then we plant it, and most of the time it works out. But this can actually cause girdling. Girdling is the roots growing in a circle around the plant, especially right at the start point or the main transplant site, and ultimately choking off the plant. This is really bad. So I'm gonna give you one pro tip right off the bat to avoid girdling and also ultimately give you a way bigger root system way faster. And that is coming in and chop. A lot of people are like, why would you do that? That's a whole bunch of root mass. But the good thing about a root is every time you chop it, 1 becomes 2. So I just took all those root tips and turned them into 2 root. And now it's a lot easier for me to transplant it over here, just like its other Kodiak King friend. And these are dwarf tomatoes. All these tomatoes that we're doing today are dwarf tomatoes, and I am super excited about these dwarfs. Now, what you don't want to do is leave these root masses sitting out in the open air and dry out, because it'll totally mess everything up. So let's dive in and let's transplant some of these. Now, as we bring these tomato plants straight over to our pots, we've got to consider some things. The first thing we've got to consider is, what's the temperature of the soil? Now, I brought this soil in from outside yesterday where it was getting a little cold. It's been inside for about 24 hours and the temperature has acclimated. Thing number two is the moisture level of that soil. I went and watered them in yesterday, even though it's kind of cold, to allow them to be pre-watered for today, so I don't have to do a full soak today, only just a small spot watering. And thing number three is, I like to turn off my lights when I'm doing my transplants. This just reduces the amount of stress. It gives them a little bit of time to get used to the soil. This is an extremely sensitive part of this plant's life. We're going from an aeroponic, highly oxygenated, highly watered growing system, basically hydroponics and aeroponics, which it is, to soil growing. So there's a huge transformation about to happen with this plant. Now, a lot of times we use things like root inoculants, like microbes. A lot of times we use microbial-based root inoculants to supercharge our root zone to allow transplant to go a little bit easier. These things are different types of products. A lot of times we use products like microbes or fungi, and we apply them in transplanting holes just like this. But for most people, that's where we stop. Well, Backyard Farming Academy, that's where we start, is going above and beyond and giving you guys extra tools and information to achieve the best results possible. So how do we do that? First, we don't want to let these root systems dry out, but we also want to coat them with something that's going to allow them to adhere to the soil-based environment. I recommend taking a mixture of microbes, fungi, and Revitalize. These three products combined are going to give your plant all the food and biology that it needs to explode through its transplant. And I wanted to showcase one product because most people, like I said, stop this process at microbial and endomycorrhizal inoculants. But there's another big tool that you can use to speed up your transplant adaptability for your plants, and that is Revitalize from Key to Life Supply. This product has a whole bunch of amino acid based nitrogen that is extremely friendly for plants and is microbial food. So it allows the microbes that you use to inoculate in the root zone to absolutely explode, because now they've got Mother Nature's candy food friend. And Revitalize is comprised of 19 L-amino acids. It's a plant-based product, it's carbon-based, it's fully soluble, and it's powder only. So you don't have to buy water. Why buy water when at the end of the day, you as a grower have your own water? The first thing we're gonna do is open this bad boy up. And this product is a great product for this time of the year in general. Gardens, whether you're in seedling phase, whether you're in just transplanting phase, or whether you're full-blown growing outside already, nitrogen, and specifically amino acid-based nitrogen, is a huge help. This ultimately equalizes the plant. And look at this powder. It's very flowable, nice consistency, extremely consistent, soluble. The only thing that's kind of weird about this product is the smell, and it does take a little bit of effort to break into water. So I'm actually using a pretty decent dose here. I'm doing a half of a teaspoon in this small amount of water. Now this would almost be a treatment for a gallon, but I want to show you, well, look at that. That goes into water pretty quickly and easily, especially if the water is the right temperature. So these are organic nutrients that are plant-based and carbon-based, but super soluble and don't have much sediment or any sediment that fall to the bottom of a tank or a reservoir. And now we can simply take our easy clone root systems and dunk them into this solution. And now we've encapsulated this with amino acids. We've put our microbes and our fungi in our soil. We've dipped our plants root system in amino acids, and this thing is ready to rock and roll. Give it a nice deep pull and go ahead and pop that girl in there, and bada bing, bada boom. This makes this process pretty quick and easy. Now I'm gonna give you another pro tip, is to remove your first true leaves down there, your cotyledon, and even sometimes this is a good opportunity to remove any of these other really small little leaves. But dwarf tomatoes are really cool in the aspect that they really don't need much trimming. Instead of like an indeterminate tomato that just needs trimming on trimming on trimming, dwarf tomatoes really do not. And this is one of my favorite things about a dwarf tomato. And look at that, we've got our first 2 transplants done. Let's go ahead and bust these things out. And we're back at the Easy Clone because I've got another pro tip for you. Let's rewind time in our crazy time machine and go to 2 to 4 days before we transplant. And this is what we're gonna do. So we're gonna actually come into our Easy Clone. Pro tip for you guys that have a hard time opening it, just push on the edge, in and up, and it'll open, I promise. And look at this root mass. Now we can see these huge root masses, and it's always awesome to see, and there's nothing bad about it. But something to consider is sometimes when a root mass just goes straight down with only a couple roots, like this one right here, it's giving an example of the dominance of the taproot. Now these taproots are a beautiful thing, and it can help your plant's root systems go deeper. However, with a tomato, their root masses grow so fast, so easily, that you're not really worried about that. The next thing that we've got to consider is if any of these roots are actually growing into the pump. Are they blocking the sprayers, reducing the amount of spray that all the plants get and kind of favoring 1 or 2 overall? Well, it happens sometime in the Easy Clone system, and that's why I'm going to show you this solution to stop that and ultimately also allow your plant to transplant much better. And this is what it looks like. I'm literally going to give a haircut to all these root systems. So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna come along and we're gonna snip all these root systems about 2 to 3 inches above the manifold. This much less root mass in our way, and ultimately also allows these root systems to start branching out earlier, because you can see they branch out when they're in the water, but they're only a couple up top. By trimming this, each one of these roots becomes 2, and it gives us a bigger root mass that's easier to manage. How many eggplant have been grown in an Easy Clone system? I'm probably guessing not as many as some other crops out there. So we're gonna come along, we're gonna clip this entire root system. And this does a couple things too. Not only does it have benefits to the other plants, it has benefits to this plant by giving it a more nodulated root mass with more tap roots in essence, but it also makes cleaning up this Easy Clone. This is a good pro tip for anybody growing in an Easy Clone that's just getting too good of results, because that's my favorite thing about an Easy Clone is they give you too good of results too easily, and I'll take that over the other options, that's for sure. And you guys see I got my trusty fiskars out. There's not a job in the garden I don't do without my fiskars. If you guys want to show some love to Backyard Farming Supply and allow us to continue on this journey that we've set out on to allow the world to grow like pros, then head on over there, grab some merch, grab some swag, grab some products, grab an Easy Clone, enter into the Seeds of Abundance giveaway, all the fun things. Well, there we are, guys. Look at that control of that root mass system. In the very beginning, when I first started using these Easy Clones, I would have been like, you're crazy. Why did you just do that? Well, there's reasons, and all the reasons that we just went over are part of it. And the best part is, if you do this process 2 days to 1 week before you transplant, you're gonna see the magic in front of your eyes, and you're gonna ultimately have bigger root masses that are better for transplanting without being so long that they're gonna risk girdling up your plant. So that's today's Easy Clone pro tip, maybe. Or do we have a couple more? Let's see. Now check out these roots, guys. Now that is the benefit of having multiple Easy Cloners going and ultimately just just maximizing your root success. Look at those. Those are insane. I don't even want to trim them. They look so good. You know what? I might not. Those ones look so good. I'm not trimming them. These grew completely differently. See how these roots really just spidered out like all these filaments right here? So this is what you're looking for. This is the target root mass you're looking for in an easy clone. Not straight down, but nice and wide.